Web3 represents a new phase for the internet, one that is powered by blockchain technology, which enables decentralization and token-based economies. I'm Víctor Muñoz, developer advocate at Metis, and what I have learned will make you wonder about our future. I'm excited to introduce the Web3 Devs podcast. Rami, very excited about the topic that we are going to be discussing today because you have had an amazing journey that goes from, starting as a Web2 developer to Web3 developer, and now you are in a position of leadership within Metis. So my question is about kind of like your journey and the things that you have learned. So what would be like the main lesson from going to getting started as a developer to a leadership position?
I would say like the main lesson is work hard always. Like this is always the main thing. You work hard, you keep learning. This is the most important part also, because like I couldn't have got here without learning and just be in the right places. For example, like I can talk about um, how I got to Metis, for example. I used to be working in cybersecurity. Um, kept learning, kept participating in competitions, in hackathons, and so on, like cybersecurity hackathons. And then in one of the hackathons, there was the Ethereum category. It was new to me. I didn't know what Ethereum was back then, and I just was very fascinated by it. Like after starting to watch some videos, starting to read some documentation, I just went nuts on it and like kept learning about Ethereum, kept learning about blockchain. It became very, very interesting to me. That's when I made the switch. I started first like learning Web3, JavaScript library, learning Solidity. It was required for this like specific hackathon to learn these things to be able to interact with the blockchain, obviously. But then after the hackathon, I kept learning this stuff. I kept searching for opportunities. There was Gitcoin bounties, I believe, and this was when I got my first buck from Web3. It was from a company called Fuse. They're still out there, very cool guys. They work on like simplifying making a blockchain for mobile. And I ended up doing like some bounties for them, doing some freelance work for them, and then like gradually became working with them part-time and then full-time. During also my work with them, I kept participating in hackathons. Any cool idea that comes into my head, I would implement it into code. Like I would build it, build a website for it, build a dApp for it. And one of the hackathons was the Metis hackathon, which was like very big for me. I built the Metis safe, and that was 2 years ago. I still maintain it till this day. But that
You
was
built a
like
Metis safe.
yeah.
You're the guy behind that. I wasn't aware of it. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, like um, back then, after I won the hackathon, I won the Web3, the first place in Web3 category. Um, the Metis team started like reaching out to me, giving me some like freelance work, giving me some challenges, problems that would help solving, and then we just somehow ended up working together. Like I got very involved in the team. I got very close to them, even though like I wasn't working directly with them, but I was very close. I was integrated. I knew almost everybody in the team. I worked with like the team members on different projects, different occasions. and that's how I am here now.
That's
Takes a lot of dedication, takes a lot of hard work, learning, but just believe in yourself, and like you'll get there. There will be like the right moment, of course, for everything.
I like that perspective of trying to, enjoy the journey and follow like your curiosity and work hard. I think those are like general recipes that anyone can apply to whatever they are working on to try to go up the ladder, right? Try to scale, try to improve, and eventually opportunities will come. I guess that when you join it, you were not like the Dev Rel lead or the lead dev at that moment, and at some point it just kind of happened, right, in a natural way for what you are describing. And I know that this is a little bit of a tangent for the topic today, but since we mentioned the Metis safe, can you elaborate on what that is and how does it work?
Sure. So the Metis Safe is like a smart contract wallet uh, that can have multiple owners. Um, how that compares to your regular wallet, it cannot have multiple owners. You have a private key and you cannot share that with anybody. If you share it with anybody, then it's no longer private. And like even if you share the key with your twin, your brother, whatever, uh, and he let's say he does a transaction and he tells you, no, you did this transaction, you spent the money, you whatever. Like there's here the trust part. So what the Gnosis Safe team did, or like the former Gnosis Safe team, now they're called Safe Global. What they did is they wrote a smart contract that has some access control that would allow you to add owners to the safe, and these owners would sign transactions. So, for example, you create a safe, it would deploy a smart contract, and it would have like, let's say, 3 owners, me, you, and Aman, for example. And you can specify how many signatures there needs to be for each transaction to go through. And so here, in this case, let's say we do a safe that is 2 out of 3. Okay, so 2 signatures are required for a transaction to go through. It means if I want to open a transaction, I would sign it, and I would tell either you or Aman to sign it. And after it's signed by 2, like after the 2 have signed it, you can execute it on the blockchain. It becomes actual. And how this works technically, there is the smart contract which has the access control, and it would verify the signatures of each of the owners depending by their wallet address. Since and then there's the backend which would keep track of the signatures. So for example, before a transaction is populated into the blockchain, it is waiting for signatures, right? So when I open a transaction, it would be sitting there and waiting for the other 2 or the other 1 to sign it. And this would happen in the backend, and the backend records these signatures. It can be decentralized, as decentralized as you want it. Like you can take the Metasafe code base and run it by yourself, and it would still work. Like it's portable. It would work the same way, of course. So yeah, the backend is not something like that is centralized or anything. It's just for helping track the transactions. And yeah,
Got
after
it.
the signatures are collected, you execute on the smart contract. And there's the front end, of course.
So
Yeah,
anybody can come and run this. Very interesting.
yeah,
I like it a lot. And obviously I can imagine, and this is where my next question goes to the like technical challenges, right? Obviously when you were building this, you faced some difficulties. And since you are like a lead developer on Metis, you have been, leading other teams and seeing a lot of new developers coming into our change and finding certain like technical difficulties, which is common. So I was wondering, what are like the main challenges that you have observed from your position, and how exactly is it that your team addresses it?
Sure. So some of the challenges were that, like, for example, some of the features that, so the Metis safe, I can say an example about the Metis safe when I was building it.
Sure.
It was a fork of the Gnosis Safe wallet, or the Safe Global wallet, and they had some features which required some third parties that already exist on, like, that already support the Ethereum blockchain, the L1 blockchain, but they do not support, for example, Metis. We can say, for example, here there's Gelato, there's Tenderly, and like I didn't find that they support Metis. I tried to find some workarounds, try to deploy something like that would come instead of Gelato. But then, like, I told the Metis team about it, and they were very welcoming to have a discussion with Gelato and have like some sort of a agreement with them. And I think I might have spilled some tea, but we have some cool dev tools that are coming soon to our chain, and like we're working on some integrations. So it was mainly like sometimes it was the lack of dev tools, or dev tools that do not exist on the Metis chain, or on like any chain that you're building. So some of the other challenges were like sometimes you I'm not talking about the safe documentation was perfect, but like in, for example, like other things that I came through when working with Web3 libraries and Web3, like for example Web3 JS or whatever. One thing I noticed is that like documentation comes last in most of the developer tools. A lot of the developer tools in Web3, they don't care much about documentation. You need to go through the code and figure it out by yourself. But that was one of my favorite parts, to do like some reverse engineering on some like code bases, and find my answer without having to look into the documentation.
That's one of the, I think, biggest skill one can have, like that ability of doing some reverse engineering and just go at the base code and figure it out. And I think that now with tools like AI, you can kind of speed up a little bit that process. But I think it's, it's a special kind of quality for sure that you have been leveraging that for your career in general. And actually connected with this, I wanted to talk a little bit more about kind of like skill development, because from your side, like, okay, you're a technical guy, right? You started developing, you just shared your journey and how you got into this leadership position, in which you have a team that is working with you, right? So in terms of developing certain skills to go from junior developer to a leader, what can you tell me about it? Because okay, you already share that a lot of hard work following your curiosity, but maybe in terms of skills, something that you have been developing thanks to that would be super helpful to know about.
Yeah, I would say for developing your skills, first off, like if you're a junior developer, you don't need to even know your skills, know the skills that you need to develop. So like a lot of guys would come to me and ask me, hey, should I learn Python? Should I learn this specific library? Should I learn that library? And I say, like, don't learn, all right? It will come by itself. You just go to the field, all right? Like,
I
get
got
to
you.
work. Yeah, like if you're especially if you're already a junior developer, if you already have like some sort of a junior position, a great way to learn skills is just to work. Like, go to your daily work and just do it. Like there is always something that you need to learn at work. And like if you want to keep learning, also a lot of people keep learning outside of work, and I really encourage that. You need to have something that you're like working on. You can have some idea that you're trying to build, something like, for example, let's say you want to build, you have some idea for a dApp, then you just go and try to build it by yourself in your free time. And like this would require, of course, a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, but you will
Mm-hmm.
have to learn. You will now know what you need to learn, and you will learn it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't gain a useless skill, because like a lot of people go and do courses, do a course for like a month, for 3 months, and then in the end they realize that most of what they learned in this course, like, yeah, they became professional in one field or one skill, but
Yeah.
most of the things that they learn in this course are actually useless. They don't need to use it in real life. They have just they ended up with a certificate that says they're a professional with this skill, but it turns out they don't really need it for their work, or they didn't really want to learn it. So best thing to do is just go to the field, go to work every day, go to your small project, go to your university, whatever, and you will
That
find
needs to be
the
done.
skills that you need to learn, and you will learn it.
I like this mindset. I think I never heard it that way, but it makes sense. Like if you want to learn something, go and face the challenge, the task, and develop that skill to figure it out along the way, and that will open the doors to all of other skills and knowledge and things you need to learn. So yeah, I guess that it makes sense. Thanks for sharing that. And now, when it comes to like team collaboration and working with others, because okay, you're telling me all of these like kind of systems and things that work for you, but when it comes to working with others and making others work and get things done, how do you go about it? How do you foster team collaboration and that kind of thing?
Sure. So I'm always an advocate for, there is no such a thing as I don't know. You can always know, you can always learn, right? So you get a task of something, and sometimes you would say, oh, this is so difficult for me to learn. But if you learn it now, you gained another knowledge. Like now you know how to do this type of tasks, right? Um, but sometimes this mindset causes you to delay uh, other teams' work, or like the rest of your team. So I always like to like uh, advocate for patience as well. If you don't know something, you can learn it, of course, if you think that you have the time to learn it. But if you cannot really do it, like somebody else can do it. Um, for teamwork, I always advocate for like uh, documentation. All right, like, because if you don't document your work, uh, like especially like working with code, you need to document and test your own code, right? In order for your other team members to understand it.
Yes.
And so this is something that really can help, uh, can help like ease a lot of discussions. Can help uh, solve a lot of issues,
Yeah,
a lot of
sometimes you just
future
have to
issues.
write the documentation, the correct steps, the things that you really did with more details, and you will avoid some meetings, some back and forth on the chats. I completely agree with you, but it's so difficult. Like I think it's like kind of another skill, right? Like one is like writing the code and solving problems technically. Another thing is go to the repo and document that with details. So yeah, fully agree with you on that. And thanks for sharing. I think that's a great insight. Now, when it comes to recruiting, let's assume that we need to hire a new developer at Metis, and you would be in charge of hiring this new developer. What kind of things would you look in general? What are like some sort of insights that you can give us so that people that might be looking for a job as a developer can kind of leverage?
Sure. First, if we were looking to hire a junior developer, I wouldn't really look into Web3 knowledge, because Web3 knowledge is very easy to get, very easy to learn. I would look more into like development knowledge. I would look into the way, like I would tap into the way this developer thinks. I would give them a like a problem to solve. I would see like how they would solve it in real time, how they would implement the solution in some programming language. I think this is one of the best ways to like evaluate a developer. A lot of like especially in the Web3 sphere, most people don't do a coding interview anymore.
Interesting.
And that's really fascinating. In my opinion, the coding interview is always needed, especially like with this like mass hiring of people. A lot of people get hired with like no skill, or like with skill, but no real like optimization, no knowledge, no real like sometimes like most people, a lot of people might not agree with this, but you need also to have some knowledge about algorithms and data structures, even though you might not use them in the code.
Mm-hmm.
But if like somebody needs to see that you have already learned something, took the time to learn something in programming, like and implement it in a programming language or in some sort of a code. This way we can tell that yeah, you can like you can solve a problem, you can try to look into the answer, you can implement the answer once you have the answer, because solving a problem or solving a task is many steps. It's not just like writing the code for it. It's not always this straightforward. Yeah, like a lot of tasks can be very straightforward, but most of the tasks actually require like a lot of understanding, breaking the task down, uh, communication with other team members, clarifications, and then like you would formulate a solution in your head, and then you would try to implement this solution in programming in some code. So the thinking skills, the problem solving skills are always important, and it is important to evaluate them on the first date.
On the first day, yeah, better you
Yeah.
get that information up front rather than then finding some surprises along the way. That's quite a great piece of advice, I would say. So thank you for sharing that. And developers, if you're listening to this, you got the alpha now, so you know what to do. Uh, Now, the final question that I want to make today to you, Rami, is about like the role of mentorship in the like dev career. What do you think about it? Do you think it's like very important to find some sort of mentor that helps you advance on your career, or is it something that maybe you don't need that much, you know? What is your take on this?
My take, yeah, there's always there should, like I wouldn't say should, but it would always be good if you would have like a role model developer. Almost all developers like have a role model. Even it can be like some guy from their university, it can be some guy from their company, just someone that they would look at and they would say, oh, this guy can solve any problem, this guy knows everything, you know. And you should have a good connection with this developer. You should try to ask them questions, any questions you need. um, like yeah, look for someone who knows what you want to know, who works
Mm,
the way you want to work, right? um, and who works on the projects that you want to work on. Like if so, for example, you want to work at Google, you can find someone who works at Google. You want to work at Metis, you can talk to Victor or talk to me, ask us how we can work, and like how to get started with things. um, yeah, like mentorship is always important. uh, the mentor
yeah.
can always answer questions, can always lead you to the right ways, can always like help you not fall through some pitfalls, or go through some rabbit holes that you don't need to go through. Saves a lot of time, and saves also a lot of like I would say like time to get started into the career.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's good that you kind of highlight that, mentorship in this case is not like in a traditional sense or a business sense, but more on like search for someone that you would like to learn from and then just ask questions. And it is very likely if you ask politely in the right way and everything, you will get a reply and you can get like some very valuable information. So thanks, Rami, for sharing all of this alpha today for the developers. I can't wait to see this episode goes live, and we will see what we have for the next one. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, or if you learned something new, please subscribe to this channel. It helps us more than you can imagine. See you on the next episode.